Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a test of my Cubic Mini wood stove. I bought the Cub version. I'm building a little mobile hunting cabin. Got good weather to do a little test on it today. It's 16 degrees below zero. So I'm going to light the wood stove, see how long it takes to warm my 108 square foot mobile hunting lodge up, and I'll let you know how it goes. This is a little weather station I'm going to use for the test for the wood stove this morning. You can see it says negative 13.7 degrees outside. It says low for inside temperature because this weather station doesn't register anything under 32 for inside temperature. Once we get it up to 32 degrees in here, then it'll start climbing on that. I'm going to see how long it takes the wood stove to warm up this little mobile hunting lodge. This is the Cubic Mini Cub version. It's supposed to heat areas up to 200 square feet if you go on their website. They also make I think it's the Grizzly that's a little bit bigger than this, but I'm turning this 7x16 enclosed trailer into a little hunting lodge. So I can take it back to our hunting property, stay in it when I'm hunting back there, but I'm almost finished. I'm about 90% done. I still got some work to do on the door and a couple little touch-up things to do, but so just wanted to take advantage of the record lows today and see how long it takes this little wood stove, how it performs, how long it takes to warm the little hunting lodge up. So I'm going to start with a little one light bundle. I got this in a package when I bought the wood stove. I did burn this wood stove for about 30 hours outside this fall. I just did it over a few different evenings, burned it for 4 or 5 hours a couple different evenings. I just set the flue and everything up in the backyard, and I did that just to help set the paint, to get rid of the paint fumes on it. So this has been seasoned. I just cleaned it out. I'm going to use this torch to light this little one light cube. Just letting the little one light bundle burn just a little bit, just to start heating the flue up a little bit. Once that burns for just a minute or so, I just add a couple little pieces of wood to it. And then I'm just kind of watching the smoke to see that it's starting to draw smoke up the flue. My phone still, it says negative 17. Looks like the weather channel's saying negative 14 right now. Feels like negative 34. So. Going to use the torch to light the other end of this one light bundle, just to help it get started a little bit. Okay, it's been just a couple minutes. I used the butane torch to help get it started just a little bit. So as you can see, it's drawing all the smoke up the flue. Just letting it slowly warm up. I don't want to stuff it full and heat it up too fast. So okay, it's been about 5 minutes. I did add a few little pieces of some smaller kindling into the stove just to help get the bigger pieces started. Everything's starting to get warmed up a little bit. The stove doesn't feel cold on the outside anymore. I also have this little fan on top of the stove that will start spinning once the stove warms up a little bit. It actually looks like it's gonna start right now. Once the air above the stove gets up to around 75 or 100 degrees, that fan will start spinning. So I'm just gonna close the door just a little bit. I want it to just kind of warm this glass up nice and slow. A lot of people that I watched videos on YouTube that have these little wood stoves said they had a hard time keeping this glass clean. I didn't clean it this time before I started just because I left the glass cleaner out. I bought this bottle of wood stove glass cleaner from Menards. I accidentally left it in the trailer, so it's froze solid, but I usually just spray a little bit on a piece of a paper towel and wipe that off. I've been doing it every time before I burn the stove, and I haven't had an issue with keeping the glass clean. It gets a little dark when it's burning sometimes, but it all just wipes right off when I clean it. So right now, since the stove's starting to warm up a little bit, I'm just going to open the air vents on the bottom, let a little more air come in the bottom. I'm going to start adding a little bit bigger pieces of wood to the stove. I also picked up the little mini tool kit when I purchased the stove. It's kind of nice to have the little smaller tools when you're moving things around inside the stove. I'm just gonna let the door warm up a little bit, and then I'll close everything up and open everything up, open up all the vents, and let it start heating itself up. Yeah, it looks like the stove's burning pretty good now, so I'm actually going to close the door. I'm going to open this vent up on the bottom all the way, open the catalytic converter up all the way. That's going to reburn the smoke so you get twice the heat off of it. Then you get really clean smoke coming out of the flue, but as you can see, once you shut the glass, it does discolor it just a little bit while it's burning. Just gonna let that go. I'll keep adding some wood and we'll see how long it takes to warm the little trailer up. Okay, we're about 30 minutes in. Still says outside temperature is negative 13.7. It still says low on the inside temperature. That means we're not up to 32 in here yet, but we just now got the stove roaring. Basically, I just now put the first big log in the stove, so hopefully that'll start to change here shortly. Thermometer on the top of the stove is up in that 500 degree range. You can see the stove's roaring pretty good now. We still have the vents open all the way. So just trying to get everything up to temperature so it can start heating up the air in the lodge. It's getting to the point that I can still see my breath, but it's not as cold in here as it was when I first started. Things are starting to warm up. So I also wanted to show you the difference in how it burns with the door open and the door closed. With the door open, it does let out some heat right here in front of the stove. But you can see the flames right there. If you close the door, it really starts to roar with those flames in there, so the wood burns a little faster, produces a little higher heat. You know, if you shut down that catalytic converter, the flames go down a little bit. If you close this vent down, it really starts to burn slower. So that's how you would do it if you want to burn longer overnight once you get everything warmed up. But right now, since I'm trying to get everything warmed up in here, I'm just burning it as hot and fast as I can. So you can see how much the flames picked up just by opening those vents back up all the way. Okay, we're about an hour into our test of the Cubic Mini Cub. As you can see, the fire's roaring pretty good in there. It's actually burning hot enough that it burned the discoloration back off the glass, which is a issue that I think a lot of people have, is when they complain about the glass turning black. I think they just don't burn the stove hot enough to keep the glass clean. There's always going to be certain areas where it discolors a little bit, and then once the wood moves around in there and changes where the heat is coming from, it'll burn the discoloration back off the glass. So the glass is pretty clear right now. The stove is burning at about, it's actually up in that very hot range, about 550, 560 degrees right now. So the outdoor thermometer still says negative 10.8. The indoor one still says low. It just hasn't reached that 32 degree mark yet on the thermometer in here, but as you can see, I can't see my breath anymore. The air is definitely warmed up in the trailer. I don't feel like I need to wear gloves anymore. My hands aren't cold. I haven't taken my coat off yet. I could, but I'm just gonna let it keep burning and check on it in another 15 minutes or so. If you want to see more of the little mobile hunting lodge that I'm building here, I'm also going to start a playlist called The Little Lodge. So if you want to look that playlist up on the channel and take a look at a couple of those videos, I'm going to do a video of how I designed the lodge to function, what I did to use up the space as efficiently as I thought I could, what I'm using to power everything off grid. And so if you want to check out those videos, I'm going to put those in the Little Lodge playlist on the channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. Can see now how that wood stove got hot enough in there that it actually burned all the discoloration back off the glass. So I don't know, a lot of the people that talk about the glass turning black and staying black, I don't know what issue that they're having with their stove, but that's kind of a fluid thing. You know, if the glass gets discolored, if there's not enough heat to burn the discoloration off the glass. So if there's a piece of wood too close to the glass and it's blocking the heat from getting to the glass, that's where the glass will get discolored sometimes. So I don't know where they're having issues, but if your wood stove's burning really efficiently, the glass should stay pretty clean. So just a little tip there in case you're trying to decide if this little mini wood stove is right for you and your application. You know, I'm super happy with it. I'm not sponsored by Cubic Mini or anything. I just am doing a little video of what I think of the stove that I purchased, but I'm super excited to have it. like the smell that it creates in the cabin. It burns clean. You know, I can see where there would be some drawbacks where you have to cut your firewood really small, you have to split it smaller, you know. But that's not something that I'm afraid of doing, so just, you know, I like the fact that everything came from Cubic Mini, that I got the flue system all in a package. I got the roof exit system all in a package. So everything was super easy to install. I did it all myself. I also got the piece that mounts on the wall behind the wood stove. It's just an aluminum piece that mounts on the wall. It's actually not even hot to the touch right now. The wood stove's burning in that like 600 degree range, and you can actually touch the aluminum behind the stove. I actually put these cast iron skillets up on the wall and these little metal coffee cups on the wall so they would soak up a little bit of the heat coming off the stove and be little thermal batteries basically. But as you can see, I got a lot of coals going in there. The glass is clear. Could actually move this vent down and it'll burn a lot slower. Could close down the catalytic converter and it'll burn a lot slower. But that's actually what I need to figure out for when I'm gonna sleep overnight, when I'm hunting. Figure out where it runs best, how it runs longest. I'm sure I'll have to get up at least once in the middle of the night, maybe twice, and add some wood to it, but that's not a huge issue for me since the bed in the trailer is about 2 feet away from the wood stove. So just gonna let it go for another 20 minutes. That'll put us to an hour and a half and see what it looks like on the thermometer. We're at the 90-minute mark, so the stove's been started for an hour and a half. It did take about 30 minutes for it to get warmed up this morning, so it's only been running hot for about an hour. So I'm gonna go over to the thermometer. Looks like it's still negative 9.9 degrees outside. It's warmed up to 35 degrees in here. That's about halfway up in the lodge. It's just sitting on the countertop right there. And I also went and got another thermometer. This one's a little higher in the trailer and says 56.5 degrees. I did open the door once when I went out to get the other thermometer, and I grabbed a couple bottles of water, and then I came back in, opened the door one more time. I just opened it and shut it as quick as I could when I was going in and out. So it doesn't seem to make a huge difference to the stove if that door gets opened once in a while. I ran it the other day. I think it was 35 degrees the other day. I ran the wood stove in here, got it up to 70 degrees in here, and then I opened the door, stood in the doorway. The neighbor and I talked for maybe a half hour, and it stayed 70 degrees in here the whole time. Another reason that I like this wood stove over like a space heater is once it not only warms up the air in the trailer, it warms up everything else in the trailer, all the surfaces, all the countertops and the bedding and the walls, and you know, everything in the trailer comes up to temperature. When I was running a little electric space heater in here, it would just warm up the air in the trailer. When it was cold, the air would get up to like 50 degrees, but nothing else in the trailer would actually warm up. So I really like this little wood stove because it actually warms up everything else in the trailer also. Just gonna stack a little more wood in there and then we'll check on it in another half hour. You can see the difference it makes just to close the door. Just gets everything in there lit up, brings the air in from the bottom, feeds all the flames, lights the new log that you put in, and it's actually a super efficient little tiny wood stove. All right, we're about 2 hours into the test of the Cubic Mini Cub wood stove. I actually just added a little bit more wood to it. You can see there's a lot of coals built up on the bottom right now. It's running really good. Take a look at the thermometer that's set up. It says -5.1 degrees outside, 45.5 degrees inside, so that's a 50-degree change in 2 hours. If I look on my phone, it actually says -11 outside still, with wind chills at -31. So if it is -11 and it's 45 degrees in here, that's a 56-degree change in 2 hours. Put this little digital thermometer up a little higher in the trailer. It's up on the shelf by my speakers. It's a little closer to the ceiling. This one says 61.5 degrees, so the air up a little higher in the trailer is a little warmer even than the air in the middle of the trailer. So if that's correct, it's 11 degrees below zero outside. That's almost a 72-degree temperature change in here in 2 hours. So it does feel like everything in the trailer is getting warmed up. I took my coat off. I'm just in a hoodie and Under Armour now, and it's 12 o'clock. I've had the wood stove burning for about 2.5 hours now. As you can see, there's a ton of super hot coals building up in there. It's about 550 degrees in the stove right now. I'm gonna close the door of that back up, let that keep burning. I'll actually add a little more wood when I'm done. The Weather Channel says it's still -10 outside with a wind chill of -30. The thermometer in here says it's -7 outside, 6.9, and 51 degrees inside. So if that's true, that's roughly a 57 degree difference. According to the Weather Channel, it's a 61 degree difference. And this thermometer that's a little higher in the trailer says 64.8. So everything's still rising. That's about almost a 75 degree difference that wood stove's making in the trailer. Okay, it's about 3 hours since I lit the wood stove. It's 12:30. I lit it at 9:30. As you can see, there's plenty of coals built up in it. It's actually super hot inside there. I also like the fact that this has a little tray on the front of it, so if anything ever falls out when you're adjusting things, it catches it in that little tray. The wood stove's still hovering at about 500 degrees. The Weather Channel still says -10 with feels like -29. The little thermometer that I have inside says -6.5 outside, 57 degrees inside. This little thermometer that I put up on the higher shelf in the trailer says 70.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Just gonna level out the coals in the wood stove a little bit. Add a little more wood on the top. When you close the door, you can see that the air starts going in and the coals heat up really well. It starts the other new logs on fire. So just gonna let it burn for 30 more minutes, and we'll check the thermometers, and then I'll probably let it burn out so I can go work on some other things. It's just about 1 o'clock. The wood stove's been burning for about 3.5 hours now. It's still hovering around that 450 to 500 degree range. I'm actually going to let it start burning down so I can go get some other things done today also. Still says -10 on the Weather Channel, feels like -30. The thermometer inside says -1.8 degrees outside, 60.4 degrees inside. So that's about a 62 degree difference according to that thermometer. And then this thermometer that I have up a little higher in the trailer says 75.2 degrees. I feel like those are pretty accurate. It feels like it's about 68 degrees in the trailer right now. It's about 1:15. I've had the mini wood stove burning since about 9:30 this morning, so pretty close to 4 hours. It's raised the temperature in the trailer about 60 to 65 degrees on one thermometer and about 70 degrees on the other thermometer. I have no doubt that if I kept burning this stove, just kept adding wood every hour to hour and a half, let it burn down, added more wood, it would warm the trailer up to 70, 75 degrees, that it would actually get to a point where I would have to crack the window just a little bit to not burn myself out of the trailer with it. This is about the 5th time I've burned it in the trailer. I like the fact that it's quality construction. You can buy everything that you need to DIY install it from Cubic Mini. The only thing that they didn't sell on the Cubic Mini website that I thought was odd was a small ash bucket. I actually got this on Amazon. I think it was like $25 on Amazon. But it's kind of nice to have a smaller ash bucket. It would actually be nice if Cubic Mini had their own small ash bucket that came with it. They have the small tool set that comes with it. So. But if you're on the fence about purchasing one of these tiny wood stoves, I highly recommend it. I'm not like sponsored by Cubic Mini or anything, but I just wanted to do a little test with it today to show you kind of how fast it warms up. I enjoy the fact that it's dry heat, that it dries all the air in the trailer out, especially since I installed a shower in the trailer. So when I add humidity to the air from the shower, the wood stove takes the humidity back out of the air. I like the fact that it warms up all the surfaces in the trailer. When I was running a propane space heater in here, a little buddy heater, it would warm up the air, but it wouldn't warm up the walls to the touch. It wouldn't warm up all the surfaces in the trailer. This wood stove does that. It warms the air up enough that it keeps everything in the trailer warm. So definitely want to do the math on your square footage for your build, whatever you're building, a deer blind or trailer conversion, cargo trailer conversion, or van conversion. Want to do the math and figure out your square footage, decide if you want the Cub or the Grizzly. I feel like I was kind of on the fence with this build. It's 7 foot by 16 foot enclosed cargo trailer. It's on the medium side of the Cub. They say the Cub's good up to like 200 square feet, but the Grizzly's better for bigger spaces. I thought about putting the Grizzly in just so I'd have a bigger box so I could light a little bigger fire. It might last a little longer at night, but I actually went with the Cub because it's a little smaller. You have a little smaller clearances. I could use a little more space in the trailer. I didn't want to sacrifice the space going from the Cub to the Grizzly too. I'm actually glad that I got this one. It works really well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos, and thanks for watching.